Some of the best scenes in movies come from actors going completely off script. After all, the Joker clapping and Ron Burgundy's warm-ups are some of the best moments in The Dark Knight and Anchorman 2. Since the rest of the cast aren't expecting this behavior though, their reactions can often be as impressive as the improv itself. That's why in this video, the Binger's going to cover the greatest improv scenes in films and how they made co-stars break character. While we'll do our best to keep it together during this video, these scenes may just make you let out a gasp or burst into laughter. Before Jared Leto got a tattoo on his forehead and Joaquin Phoenix danced on some stairs, Heath Ledger was the most iconic live-action Joker. And no, Mark Hamill, your performance as the Trickster in The Flash does not count. Keep up the great voice acting work though. Much of Heath Ledger's masterful performance was improvised, and the reactions from the other people on set were genuine. In the scene where Joker grabs Rachel, her terror is real as the actress had never seen Ledger in full makeup before. Similarly, the Gotham PD's confused reaction to the Joker clapping in his jail cell was also real. The script didn't call for Ledger to burst out in sarcastic applause, but he felt like that's what his character would do in the moment. It cannot be understated how big of a role Ledger played in making this version of the Joker and this movie so iconic. Even though Ledger is alone on screen in this scene, the Joker's reaction to his bombs not detonating is also improvised. It's also the darkest and most hilarious scene in the movie. Most conversations around the Fast and the Furious franchise center on its growingly over-the-top stunts and plot lines. Also, how Vin Diesel and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson apparently can't stand each other. The movies also have a good amount of improv that plays into the cast having such great chemistry. The best version of this happens in Fast and the Furious 6, when Johnson's character Hobbs approaches a barbecue hosted by the main cast. Roman and Hobbs trade unplanned barbs and gets the rest of the cast to break, even making Ludacris do an unintentional spit take. This scene is hilarious and really speaks to The Rock's acting chops. As a former professional wrestler, he often had to ad-lib to cover unexpected developments during a show. That really shows in this scene and demonstrates that Johnson really deserves to be one of the biggest stars in the world. If we keep getting scenes like this out of the Fast and the Furious franchise, we can only hope that the studio keeps churning them out. So pretty much any movie featuring Will Ferrell is just an excuse for him and his friends to mess around. Comedies featuring the SNL veteran usually look very different as a finished product than the script intended. A lot of the time, co-stars can play off Ferrell's improv and get some solid riffs going. Sometimes though, he is just too much for other people to handle. Case in point, the warm-up scene during Anchorman 2. Here, Ron Burgundy and Veronica Corningstone go through their pre-broadcast warm-up exercises. Ferrell, though, starts saying wilder and wilder things in an increasingly bizarre shout. The end result is hilarious, and Christina Applegate can barely keep it together. Even if recent Will Ferrell projects haven't quite landed, some of his older movies are still a laugh riot. This is largely thanks to the comedian's sharply honed improv skills and masterclass chemistry between the cast. Here's hoping Ferrell's next projects let him shine alongside stars that can keep up with his impressive improvisation. Most of the time, when an actor goes off script, it causes those around them to break. After all, it's easier to keep your composure when you're in control of how a scene plays out. However, if you're Viggo Mortensen and you just broke your toe, it can be pretty difficult to stay in character. And if that sounds like a really strange and specific example, well, that's because it is, and it actually happened during the filming of The Two Towers. Here, Mortensen's character became distraught at the idea that Frodo and company were accidentally slain. He kicks a fallen soldier's helmet in frustration and lets out a horribly pained yell. That yell wasn't in the script, and that's actually Mortensen yelling out in pain because he kicked the helmet too hard. Most good acting teachers will tell you to use real-life experience in drawing inspiration for a performance. Mortensen had all the experience that he needed when he accidentally broke his toe though, and masterfully incorporated his break into the scene. What we know today about Kevin Spacey and Bryan Singer's scummy behavior makes The Usual Suspects pretty difficult to watch. However, the film does have one of the best and most well-known improvised scenes in all of cinema. So even if it's a tough movie to recommend, this scene is definitely worth watching for anyone interested in film production. Here, a collection of criminals are brought into a lineup and asked to repeat a phrase that might help a witness identify one of them. The actors are supposed to play this scene entirely straight. However, they quickly start messing around and delivering the line ridiculously. The other actors quickly break and slip grins and laughter. Thankfully, the scene gives the impression that these characters know each other, so the reactions are appropriate. This scene may be short, but it's a great example of what can happen when actors are given the freedom to make a performance their own. Now, if only better people were behind this project, then we could really enjoy this scene without a pang of guilt. X-Men First Class is one of the best X-Men movies, largely because it wasn't directed by Bryan Singer. However, it also takes the franchise back to its anti-racism roots and features a number of fantastic scenes. One of these scenes is Hugh Jackman's iconic Wolverine cameo. This scene features Charles Xavier and Magneto approaching Wolverine at a bar. But before they can get to their pitch, Jackman drops an improvised and hilarious F-bomb, and the two just walk away. Their reactions and exit weren't scripted though. James McAvoy and Michael Fassbender were so stunned by Jackman's improvisation that they walked back to their starting position for another take. Thankfully, director Matthew Vaughn decided to go with this take as it is one of the most hilarious moments in the entire movie. It also perfectly encapsulates what makes Wolverine such a great and beloved character. Every bit of effort that Vaughn had to put into fighting for this take's inclusion in the movie was more than worth it. It might genuinely be one of the funniest scenes in any X-Men movie that's not Deadpool. Okay, when you get two sensational actors like Jim Carrey and Jeff Daniels in a movie together, you know you're gonna be riffing a lot. The two constantly improvised their lines and antics throughout the movie, and the other actors just did their best to keep up. Most of the time, though, they weren't up to the task. For instance, the entire scene where Carrey and Daniels annoy a thug posing as a hitchhiker is improvised. Actor Mike Starr has no idea what's coming next from the two, and his annoyance with them is genuine. And truthfully, can you blame him for getting aggravated? The other major improvised scene involves Carrey walking out of a gas station, talking to two bystanders, and immediately walking away. This wasn't scripted, and those two actors are just extras who were caught off guard by Carrey's comment. This scene has been memed to death at this point, but really does capture the offbeat humor of this movie. It's just too bad that neither of the sequels have the same care or charm about them. Saving Private Ryan also contains one of the most powerful improvised scenes in cinema. Towards the end of the movie, when Tom Hanks and Matt Damon's characters sit down before the German army attacks them, having both been through a lot, the two take a minute to just get to know each other, and Damon describes his character's fallen siblings. However, the events that he describes are totally off the top of his head and not called for in the script. His story about Ryan's siblings is hilarious in a somber kind of way, and Hank's reaction to it is entirely genuine. Both actors are still completely believable as their characters in this scene, and this makes it feel like a real moment between the two of them. More serious movies like this don't usually have improvised scenes, because they can throw off the tone of the film. It really speaks to the acting abilities of Damon and Hanks that they can pull this improvised moment off so convincingly. Even when breaking, Tom Hanks still terrifically sells the emotion of the moment. Shaun of the Dead is a marvelous dark comedy and made the careers of all involved. A chronic slacker taking on the zombie apocalypse might seem trite today, but it was revolutionary back in 2004. While director Edgar Wright's signature style takes the film a long way, it's Nick Frost's and Simon Pegg's improv that makes it a hit. While Pegg's character is lamenting his breakup early in the movie, Frost begins creating fictional backstories for the extras. What follows is Pegg breaking down in hysterical laughter as the camera jumps between extras as Frost creates ridiculous backstories for them. This is one of the best scenes in the movie by far, and the chemistry between Pegg and Frost is what makes it so spectacular. Because Pegg and Frost are friends in real life, you can tell that this is how Frost would really go about cheering up his buddy. This improv makes a scene that you've seen 1,000 times before feel fresh and unique, which is still true to this weird and wonderful movie today. Jumping back to Matt Damon, Good Will Hunting is an iconic movie that everyone has either seen or heard of. It also features an incredible improvised performance from the legendary comedian Robin Williams. And of course we're talking about the scene where Williams' character describes his late wife farting. What makes this scene so hilarious is that it's so tonally dissimilar from the rest of the movie. It's crass and random in a movie that's otherwise thoughtful and deliberate. Williams' story is so strange and dirty that both he and Damon can't help but laugh through all of it. And sure, film snobs can argue that this scene takes away from the overarching films of the movie. But if you think of this movie as a snapshot of a gifted and struggling man's life, then it should have some weird stuff in there. Life is never as serious or melancholy as what more dramatic films make it seem like. Weird conversations and situations happen all of the time in daily life, and this scene perfectly captures the everyday strangeness of Will Hunting's life. What do you think of these improvised scenes? Do you think that you could keep from breaking if you were in the movie? Let us know in the comments section down below. And remember to like this video and subscribe to The Binger for more videos coming out soon. Thanks for watching.